Hello there, welcome to a brand new edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolis. It was a weekend filled with sporting action. And guess what? The UEFA Champions League is back. Not forgetting Europa League and the Conference League. The big balls are back in town. Guess what? We have something new in store for you. I did say 2025 is going to be big. It is called the Tipsters Corner. And on this segment, we give punters tips on what to look out for as they look to make money from sporting games across the world. Once again, it is called the Tipster Corner. We have a lot in store for you as always. I'm not doing this alone. I have Abe David in the building, and together we'll make sense of all that we have on the rundown. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we start in the Spanish La Liga, where Real Madrid are back on top. Welcome back. This is Sports Pizza. David, how you doing? It's great to have you on the show once again.
Yeah, Edwin, pleasure to be here as always. Thank you for having me. I always say when European football returns, there are three tables of European football. There's the top table, the very elite guys. There's the middle table, and then there's the less privileged table where the lower rungs they eat. So where your club is, you find your level. All
right, Chelsea and Manchester United fans, David has landed the first blow. But not to worry. We are already in the second half of the season, David. And let us start with the Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid are currently top. 2 points ahead of Atletico Madrid and 7 points ahead of Barcelona. If we go back to match day 12, if someone had told you that after 8 league games, Real Madrid will be back at the summit, would you have agreed with that fortune teller?
No, I don't think so. I would not be putting any smart money on that kind of prediction because, you know, that's the beauty of analysis. You analyze based on what was on ground. It was right to say at that point Real Madrid were far away from where they were expected to be, and, you know, to be difficult for them to claw their way. But we did not see this kind of fall from Barcelona coming, and we knew Madrid were going to probably get to a semblance of their quality, and with a lot of players returning from injuries, Mbappe clicking into gear, Vinicius as well. We thought they would get better, but Barcelona would give them a real fight. But now it's not looking that way.
Still on Real Madrid, David. What has Carlo done right that has seen them return to the top of the table? Because if you isolate the games against Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, in those games, it was clear Real Madrid was second fiddle to both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even with this way the squad is currently composed, and, you know, with all the injuries they have, I think against those teams they will still struggle if they are faced again at this point, even as good as Real Madrid have been. But I think what they've done is against the teams they are expected to beat, you know, they've allowed their quality to show. We talked about how they were not gelling at the beginning of the season. It looks like they are beginning to gel now. We knew these players were good players. They just needed to come together. So we've seen Rodrigo coming back into the team, and he's added his quality. Somebody who I think is one of the most underrated players of his generation. You know, Vinicius coming to Mbappe now is finally looking like the Mbappe that we expected him to be. And the issues in defense still there, but at least against teams they expected to beat, the quality is beginning to show.
Now, what's wrong with FC Barcelona? 1 win in 8 league games, but they took apart Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup, and it felt like, yes, they are back. After that game, they trashed Real Betis in the Copa del Rey 5-0, only for them to return in league against Getafe and could barely convert their chances. Is Flick finding it difficult to motivate his players for games against the likes of Getafe, and he finds it easier to motivate his players for the big games? Is that the issue, or maybe there's a tactical conundrum?
So I think it's more of the tactical issue. I think the Flick Barcelona, people have to come to terms with the fact that this Flick Barcelona is not a tiki-taka Barcelona that we are used to, who go against teams and, you know, they totally dominating. We've said it so many times on this show, how the best moment Barcelona have is as a counter-attacking team in transition because of the players they have. They have Lamine Yamal, they have, you know, Rafinha, players who, and Lewandowski who cannot, you know, run as much as well. But in those moments, he's able to conserve his energy and get the best. But against those smaller teams, you know, those teams sit deep. And you can't expect Barcelona to now counter-attack against those teams. So a lot of time, they find it difficult to create chances when they are, you know, in possession of the ball, when they are dominating those spells. So that's where the issue is now for Flick. Is going to translate this in from the counter-attacking team to when they get control. In games they're expected to take initiative, they can make the best use of it.
And for Atletico Madrid, their winning streak ended against Leganes. They lost 1-0. Griezmann missing from the 12-yard spot. They hit the woodwork about two or three times.
Yeah.
It wasn't their day, but still competitive, just 2 points behind Real Madrid. You don't want to write them off.
Yeah, so I think that game was an outlier. It was maybe one of those games where if you play multiple times, they will get results maybe 4 out of 5 times. Everything that could have gone wrong in that game contrived to go wrong. Hitting the crossbar 3 times or missing a penalty as well to get back into the game. They had control in that game. They just couldn't convert their chances. But you expect that in multiple games, they'll be able to convert their chances and still be competitive.
Is Barcelona out of the title race?
I think they are the third wheel in this title race. It's the case of Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid fighting for the title. Barcelona somewhere in the mix, but they are not going to be major competitors in this race.
Talking about competitors, Liverpool are pulling no stops to win the Premier League for the first time since 2019-2020 season. They had to do it the hard way against a Brentford side that was an even matchup for them. Yeah. And guess who? The much maligned Darwin Núñez to the rescue. Is this a turning point, not just for Liverpool, but also Darwin Núñez?
I mean, football is a game of fine margins. When you see situations like this occur, Darwin Núñez, somebody who is much maligned, score 2 goals, to rescue a result for them. You know that probably things are actually, you see signs, you feel that this is probably going to be our season. And I think for him, would it be a turning point? I'm not sure, because he didn't do too much different from what we usually see. Darwin Núñez is a hit or miss player. Sometimes he's a hit, sometimes he's a miss. And Liverpool have come to terms with what he is. So he will continue to give them hit or miss performances like this over the course of the season. But he will not cheat you with the effort, but productivity-wise, it will still be hit or miss. Talking
about hit or miss, there were more misses for Arsenal at home against Aston Villa, raced to a 2-0 lead. I thought they were brilliant until Yuri Tillemans reduced the deficit before Oli Watkins. Now, I'm not going to blame the attackers, because as much as we can criticize, and we have criticized them, rightfully so, they did a job, they got 2 goals. Now the attention has moved from the attack to the defense. I'm of the opinion that since the start of last season, Arsenal have the best defensive setup or unit, whatever you want to call it, or system in European football. But that is not the case this season. What has gone wrong?
I think for me, it's, last 2 seasons, Arsenal have been very lucky. Somebody said the gods of injury have been fortunate to, they've been kind to Arsenal. But this season, it seems like they've withdrawn their support, and Arsenal having it hard with injuries. We've seen them multiple changes to the system, and that's what, usually, the centre-back pairing of Gabriel and Saliba. But this season, it has been changed more times than in the last 2 seasons as well. And at left back, they have to play Myles Kelly, who is naturally a midfielder at left back, because the left back issue has not been solved. At right back as well, Ben White, who is the starting right back, is injured. So they've tried Timber there, but now, because of the injuries to Saliba, Timber has had to play as centre back. And one thing I think Arteta needs to stop doing is stop playing Partey at right back, because it reduces 2 things from the team. It takes away the solidity in midfield, because Partey is not there. And then at right back, it takes away, his instincts that a right back should have. And I think the second goal, especially again, the one Watkins scored, you could see there was total lack of awareness from Partey for where the striker was at that point in time. So a lot has happened to that defensive unit, which was one of the best over the last 2 seasons. A lot of changes. Talking
about changes, there are changes in the top 4. Manchester City are back, but still behind the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, and Nottingham Forest. Are they truly back, Manchester City?
It might seem harsh to say, but I keep saying they keep beating teams they are expected to be. But when they really get tested, you still see those fragilities, and I think that's where their problem is still going to be.
6 games unbeaten, David, in all competitions.
Well, list those games. They beat Salford in the cup, beat Ipswich Town, beat Leicester City, beat West Ham. These are teams they're expected to be. The one blip, you can see that Brentford game. They were 82 minutes, they were 2-0 up, and they still ended up drawing that game. So I think the fragilities are still there. They will do enough, maybe make the top 4. I think so. But it's a mini revival, but it should not be enough to give them, enough achievement for this season.
Incoming signings, Omar Mamouche, defenders, reinforcements. Can they launch a late assault on the Premier League title? Currently, they're 12 points behind Liverpool, haven't played a game more. Is there a possibility? We've seen them overturn such leads in the past.
Yeah, we've seen them do it in the past, but I think this season, because of the gap Liverpool have created at the top of the table, and the fact that City are still shaky. If it was City at their very best, you will give them all the chance. But this is not City at their very best. They are still probably a 60%, 65% City to compete with Liverpool with the gap they've created. People are almost writing Arsenal out of the title race, even though they are 6 points behind with that Liverpool's game in hand. Now imagine putting City in that mix with a 12-point deficit with a game in hand. I think that's what makes it difficult for me to put them in this race.
All right, talking about difficulty, Ruben Amorim, David, I like him.
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic coach. But also, I have issues with dogmatic managers. I have issues with managers who insist it is my way or the highway. And Ruben Amorim has insisted that it is my way or the highway. I'm not going to change it, even when, as far as saying, this is the worst Manchester United team in history. David, when you hear statements like that, is that a deflection tactics?
No, I don't think so. I think he has assessed the situation that he was. I keep saying it right from time that the situation he came into is one of the worst situations. He came in a messy situation. He shouldn't have come in when he came in. The Ineos were not responsible enough to have allowed him or made a decision to sack Ten Hag before the season started and allow somebody to come in and quickly start to sort out these messes. They allowed him to create even more mess and ask somebody to come in and start cleaning out fire. Unfortunately for Amorim, he came in, he's trying to clean out some messes and new ones are emerging, and that's the problem he finds himself in. So I think he wants to create a system. The players he has is what he has. He's unable to make the best out of them, and I think everything is just very difficult for him at this point in time.
Talking about difficulty, will it be wrong for him to, in this moment, adapt to the players and stop the rot? Because I feel positive results will bring positive performances, more like positive reinforcement. Don't you think he should tweak for about 2-3 games, steady the ship, then maybe you go back to your 3-4-3 system?
Yeah, so I think for him, I think he's trying to avoid the situation that Ten Hag found himself in. Ten Hag came into United and he had a clear way of trying to play. And when the first few games it was not working, he switched away from it completely and kept on waiting for when the players he needed to play it arrived, and it never arrived. And the results also did not arrive. So I think Amorim said it. I think he made a very important point in his preference. Where do we want to be a year from now? Do we want to play this way and a year from now achieve progress? Or do we want to start trying to mix and match and get results, and a year from now we are still stuck where we were?
I also think he has sort of exposed the lack of quality in this Manchester United team. For all the fantastic job he does in the final third, talking about Bruno Fernandes, he doesn't strike me as someone who has the ability to dictate games. Now, in transition play, he's one of the best. But in terms of dictating, breaking teams down, it's been found wanting. Now, I'm not laying the blame at his feet, but if you're the biggest player in the team, the captain of the side, you should lead by example. All right, enough of Premier League, David. Quick one in Italy, Napoli and Inter Milan setting the pace. In the Italian Serie A, the boys are gradually being separated from the men.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the two teams, Inter and Napoli, have all the ingredients that they need to actually give us a proper title race. Inter Milan, the best squad in the league, the best manager in the league. They have quality all around in that squad. Then for Napoli, they have a manager who knows how to do that at this level, and then they 1 game per week. Those two teams have everything. For Atalanta, for the likes of Lazio, all the other pretenders, unfortunately, they will fizzle out along the way, and it's going to be a 2-horse race. All
right, enough analysis. It's time for the Tipsters Corner. David, we have 2 games, one in the English Premier League, one in the Spanish La Liga. Manchester City and Chelsea. If I'm a punter at home, I'm watching Sports Pizza, and it's the Tipster Corner. What should I expect from these games?
All right, Edwin. So first thing you need to consider for the Manchester City versus Chelsea game is that since the 2021 final Champions League where Chelsea defeated City, Chelsea have not been able to beat City in any competition since that time. It's been draws, it's been losses. So I think for that reason, you feel Chelsea will not be able to, even though City are not the best of time. Now, even in the last 5 fixtures, Chelsea have been able to beat City. The last 2 games in the league last season, both games ended in draw. We saw that spectacular 4-4 draw and then a 1-1 draw in the 2 legs. So I'm looking at City to win. Even though City are just marginal favourites, but they are still favourites. If you are not comfortable going for a City straight win, probably expect City to maybe a double chance for City and over 1.5 goals. All right,
goals in this particular fixture. All right, David, Atletico Madrid at home against Villarreal. What should we expect?
Yeah, Edwin, just looking at the numbers, you look at the odds for Atletico Madrid, they are overwhelming favourites to defeat Villarreal in this game. And there's a reason why Villarreal are not being in the best of form at this point in time. For Atletico Madrid, they just, surrendered their long winning streak. But I think they'll still have enough, which is why the odds favour them to still do enough to beat Villarreal. You look at the head-to-head between these two teams, Villarreal have only won once in the last 5 against Atletico Madrid, even though Atletico have won twice and they've drawn 3 times. But I think Atletico Madrid, based on form currently, are looking very strong. And look at the odds. When they are priced at odds like this, a 1-0 victory, a 2-0 victory. I think it's outright a straight win for Atletico Madrid. But if you are not, on the confident side, you want to keep your smart money to yourself, you probably go for a double chance Atletico Madrid and under 2.5 goals, maybe a 2-0 or 1-0 victory for
How
Atletico
about
Madrid.
I go for home to win either half, Atletico Madrid to win either half?
That's also a solid option.
All right, there you go. David has given us tips for this weekend. Manchester City versus Chelsea. He's advised that you go for a City win or City double chance. That's a 1x. Or maybe City win either half and over 1.5 for Atletico Madrid and Villarreal Atleti. Strong at home, you can go for Atletico Madrid to win, Atletico Madrid either half. You can go for under 2.5. If you are scared, hey, a double chance for the home side and under 3.5. At this point, we go on a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. It is still Sports Pizza. Don't change the channel. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Edwin and David still in the building. David, let's do a bit of tennis. Australian Open still on. Yeah. But let's talk about the controversy that involved Novak Djokovic. Feels like Djokovic and Australia, the last couple of years, there's been controversies.
I don't understand it.
You remember the vaccination issue. And right now, this has nothing to do with vaccination. A journalist working for one of the biggest media outlets in Australia, in fact, they have the broadcast rights for the Australian Open, made some distasteful remarks about Novak Djokovic and, of course, towards the Serbian fans. And he came under heavy scrutiny. In fact, it had to take Novak to call them out before they issued an apology. I'm going to ask a twofold question. One, why did it take them this long to issue an apology? And secondly, was Novak Djokovic right to boycott media duties? Because, hey, you owe it to the fans. At least they came out to cheer you.
Yeah, so I think for me, first of all, Djokovic and Australia, I think it's a bit of they say familiarity breeds contempt. You've seen too much of it. They began to finish a lot of that. But I think for where they rise to, I think they were trying to keep it under the carpet. They told me to just slide under the carpet and it not make a big issue. But I think Djokovic got wind of it, and if you follow exactly what was said and how it was said, I think it was in very poor taste. The journalist was out of order for what he said. And for Djokovic, he talked to the chairman of the organizing committee of the Australian Open. He was a big friend of his, and explained what the situation. He said, if you're going to fine me for this, fine, but I need to make a statement because these kind of things cannot happen. You cannot just come out and say, fine, Djokovic has a controversial nature. Some people don't like him, but I think he has a right to stand up for what he believes is wrong. Even the vaccination issue was him trying to stand up for what he believed in. So I think a lot of that. I appreciate what he's doing, and I think eventually he's going to give interviews to other media outlets, but I think this particular one he wants to make a statement with them. And
I'm sure he's made a statement. And going forward, come on, just come on, allow this guy.
Yeah, it's becoming too much.
10 Grand Slam singles title in Australia. More than any player in the history of the competition. And from Australia, we take a long flight. I heard it's about 22 hours from Australia down to Nigeria. And we land in Aba. Enyimba are officially, mathematically out of the CAF Confederations Cup. I'm not surprised.
No, absolutely. Paint a picture of what happened. Enyimba in the group with the defending champions, Egyptian powerhouses, and then Mozambican team, Black Bulls. I mean, based on the current standing of Enyimba, where do you expect them to finish? We predicted them to finish third, and they predicted third. So I think we should get some props for predicting where they finish. But it's a reflection of what our continental football is, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, the slots are gone," but hey.
Personally, for me, David, you know my opinion about Nigerian club sides on the continent. I'm just going to leave it at that. But hey, there are positives with respect to Nigerian football, and this time Nigerian players abroad did some great stuff.
Absolutely. I think usual suspect, but you should know, for Fulham, Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey, they hand in hand. Both of them are regular starters for a club who are punching for European tickets. Under Marco Silva this season, Calvin Bassey helped their defense. He's a mainstay in that defense right now. They kept a clean sheet in their 2-0 victory against struggling Leicester City. For NDD and Leicester City, who knows where they're going to be for next season, unfortunately for them. Also in the same England, we saw a line of, the much said about him, he's talked about right now. One of the most talked about right back in the Premier League. You see a lot of big teams teams across Europe are already eyeing him, and it's very fantastic. What Nottingham Forest is doing is magical. What Ola I know is doing for them is also remarkable. In Turkey, we saw our star boy Victor Osimhen.
Yeah.
He scored a penalty in a 1-1 draw against Ateis. But that game could have been a catastrophic one, losing to a team in the relegation zone when you are chasing the title. But at least he helped them to maintain a 7-point lead over Fenerbahce in the Turkish title race. We go to France, where a player who I consider the most informed Nigerian, most improved Nigerian player in all of Europe this season, Moses Dadi Simon, got another goal in their 1-1 draw against Reims in the French League. That's 10 goal contributions in 16 games this season. Fantastic one for 5 goals, 5 assists. As the season progresses, we expect Nigerian players to continue to turn up this season. All
right, there you have it. Nigerian players doing fantastic stuff around the globe. And we'll wrap up the show with another segment. Yes, I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I did say 2025 is going to be great. It is the stats world. We give you some of the best and interesting stats across football.
All right, Edwin. So for those who are big fans of Nottingham Forest and what they are doing in the Premier League this season, let me put into numbers for you. In their 22 games in the league this season, they've gone ahead in 18 of those games. To put into context, that is one less than what Manchester City did, 19 of 22 in the 11-12 season and the 18-19 season. And unfortunately, in both of those seasons, Manchester City won the title. But I'm not saying Forest are winning the title, but they are in good company. Yeah. That's how good they've been this season. For Manchester United fans, unfortunately, they have a sorry start for you. This season,
Why
in the
did
first
you
12,
United?
in the first 12 home games of the season, United have lost 6. That is the second most that they've lost in the first 12 games of the season since the 1894-1895 season, where they lost 7 of their first 12 home games. Not very good reading for United. And also, lastly, for Manchester City, in their mini revival, this season they scored 6 against Ipswich. That's 6+ goals they've scored in 13 games under Guardiola in the Premier League since he became manager of the club.
All right, there you have it. We're giving you all the juicy stats from the world of football, and this is where we drop anchor on the show. It's loaded, packed for your viewing pleasure. Once again, give us a follow on our social media platform. The handles are showing on your screen. We leave you with our video of the week. Do enjoy it. And David, always a pleasure having you in the studio.
Yeah, Edwin, always a pleasure doing this with you. From David, it's goodbye.
And for me, Edwin Onyebolise, it is au revoir. See you same time next week.